Yeah, we are live now, ma'am.
Good evening and namaskar. Today we have Seema Punwani ji from Singapore as our guest, and I welcome her on behalf of the Chandigarh Literary Society. Seema ji,
Hi
uh,
everyone.
hello, good evening, namaskar, how are you?
I'm good, doing well. How are you doing?
All okay. Sivaji, here at CLS, we're always handicapped and we always thinking about how to welcome our esteemed guests. Because in the pandemic time, we can't even offer you a cup of coffee or, a flower or a bouquet. So today, because I thought it was a daughter's day, and I just penned down quickly a poem from a daughter to her mother, and since the protagonist in your story, also in your novel, she also always shared a very beautiful bond equation with her mother. So I thought that you would also relate to this.
Oh,
So
that's
I'm going to say this poem. You are the woman I'm trying to be, trying to emulate the energy, the spirit, the zest for life for us to learn and see. I still remember the crease of your sari, the big bindi on your forehead, the way you used to comb your hair, the sound of that laughter spread here and there, the warm hugs embraced in love and care. I tried to talk like you, even walk like you. After all, you were my first hero. What to do? You are the woman I always wanted to be. You were the universe that my little pair of eyes could see. Now that you are gone, I'm trying to walk the path you have shown. As you always said, hold your ground and hold it firm. Life is joy and life is fun. As my eyes still look for you in pain, in misery, and in any mayhem, even if I'm a minute part of you, I could become, I could become, I could become.
that is beautiful. Thank you so much. What a lovely introduction.
Yeah, because I thought that how to welcome a person like you who's so supremely talented with words. So I thought, let me just welcome you with words.
That's
So
perfect.
words originates from a writer's mind, and it belongs to a reader's heart. And it truly, I mean, it stands true when we talk about your book, Cross Connection. Because when I was reading it, I found myself in the middle of embellished version of truth, and sometimes completely in the middle of the vivid imagination. So as you say, part real, part fiction, but all heartfelt. So what do you say? What do you have to say about that, the book of yours?
So, Cross Connection is a story about second chances at love and second chances at life, and it's
Yeah,
written from the point of view of the female protagonist Sana and the male protagonist Zen. So a
yeah,
lot of people ask me that is this like a memoir? Is it your personal stories? And that's why I was very clear right up front that it is part fact, part fiction.
yeah.
So some of the things have actually happened, and some have been completely imagination. Some have been borrowed. So whenever people press for more details, I always tell them it's really simple. That
Yeah.
anything that is very romantic and amazingly beautiful, and you're like, wow, that is so great, that never happened. And anything that is like, oh my God, how could that happen? That actually really happened. So that's a very easy way to distinguish what's real and what's imagined in the book.
It's beautiful. Like I got intrigued with that beautiful imagination of those written words when you write to your younger self. It is so beautiful written. I mean, I could imagine it going visually in front of me. So, if we want to give our audience the taste of your writing, could you just read that excerpt from the book?
Okay. Thank you for the opportunity. And thanks very much to the Chandigarh Literary Society for giving me a chance to bring my book to so many more people. So, this is the first chapter of the book.
Yeah.
This is what the book looks like. Sorry, without all the post-its and everything. So this is
Yeah.
which is a letter written by a younger Sama to the older Sama. It says,
Yeah.
"Dear 60-year-old Sama, that sounds so ancient, even as I'm typing this. I know you're alive and well at the time of reading this letter. I wish 20-year-old Sama had written to me and shared her hopes and dreams. It would have been so lovely to capture her thoughts, ideals, and visions in a time capsule. But 20-year-old Sama probably thought that 40-year-old Sama is in a distant future, which is not arriving anytime soon. Are much wiser and matured. Okay, maybe just matured. 40-year-old Sama knows that 2 decades can pass off in a blink of an eye, and 60-year-old Sama would be a reality very soon. So I gathered I should not be as short sighted as my younger self and decided to write this letter to you. So, how are you doing? You must be old and grey by now, but something tells me that your spirit would not have waned. If my life till now is anything to go by, I can be certain that you're still strong, vibrant, and your independent streak has not diminished in the slightest. As you would recall, things have not been going as planned for me. One breakup, one divorce, one soulmate, and kissing multiple frogs later, I have realized that nothing ever goes to plan when it's the matters of the heart. It's not been all bad though. Besides my challenging love life, everything else is nothing short of fabulous. I have traveled to far flung corners of the world, met the most exciting people, and have uncovered a great deal about myself. I wish your years had been easier than mine, but not at the expense of self discovery. I can see you now in your study, surrounded by books. I can see our daughter. Yes, I'm confident that my first child will be a girl. She's all grown up, pretty, confident, smiling through the photo frames. She's probably somewhere far away building her life. I see your home. It's warm and bright and full of love. You can hear the ocean at night and watch the sunrise every morning. Something is cooking in the kitchen. The aroma permeates the living room where your husband, who adores you, is reading on the armchair, or perhaps watching cricket while his book lays unattended on the coffee table. I hear a doorbell. I can see the gush of excitement from your family and close friends. Hugs, kisses, gasps of joy, and shrieks of exuberance fill the air. The mood is festive and happiness is apparent. The table is laden with all your special creations. I trust over the years you've extended your repertoire beyond American chop suey and chili chicken. Everyone is talking at the same time. The chatter gradually dies and is replaced by a contented lull. Your husband recounts the story of how you first met. He has done so innumerable times at a variety of occasions, every time to your mock exasperation, while in your heart you wish he would never stop reciting the story ever. I see everyone gradually leave while you sit back on your favorite lounge chair, your eyes closed, saying a prayer of gratitude for the abundance in your life. Dearest Summer, I don't know if your life is as I described it. Perhaps you have more than I could ever imagine, or it could be far lesser. Maybe there is an affectionate husband, or maybe he does not exist. Whichever way your life turns out, I hope you're happy and find every occasion to laugh that beautiful laugh of yours. I wish, unlike me now, you're content with what life has handed out to you and are at peace with yourself. Your younger and ever hopeful self.
So beautiful. I mean, how beautifully you have painted a picture with the words. It is so beautifully written. And this is the part where I totally got intrigued and curious about what Sama is all about. So, this book is about the quest for true love. Do you think there is anything like a perfect soulmate? There's anything like that exists?
Um, so we've been quite spoiled with Hollywood rom-coms and all our Bollywood romances and all the beautiful ghazals we listen to. So it's
Yeah.
been pretty ingrained in us that there is this Janam Janam Ka Sathi and there is this one person for everyone.
Yeah.
So in life, I've been quite lucky from the people around me. So I'm surrounded by loving couples. A lot of
Hmm.
my friends, my brothers, my parents, everyone is in really loving and respectful relationships. So
Yep.
some people probably have been lucky and have found their soulmate, and
Yep.
some are still searching. So what
Yep.
I always feel is that if the search for your soulmate is the only going factor, then it overpowers everything in life, and then life does not be just ceases to be as interesting because you're very just focused on one thing.
True.
So I would like to read what Sama has said actually in the book.
Yeah.
We all want to love people in the way we wish, not in the way they need. If a relationship is meant to happen in its own
Hmm.
time, it will. I have decided to live each moment before it slides into the past. I attempted to relish each experience before it becomes routine. I aim to appreciate what I have today before I lose it tomorrow. And
Hmm.
someday, sometime, somewhere, maybe I will even meet my soulmate. My heart says it will be Zen. My mind says the world is a very big place. But
Hmm.
finally, I'm not living my life waiting for that day to come because the universe never has and never will work to our timeline. So
Beautiful.
we
Yes.
just need to maybe wish for, hope for, but it cannot overpower our entire existence because there is a lot
Exactly.
more to life um, without just being in romantic relationships.
Exactly. And you know what? As human beings, I would say we are also not perfect. So, perfection is something which is really overrated. And when we are looking for relationships or soulmates, everywhere you have to make those compromises and you have to bend a bit, and then only the relationship works. I feel so. And you know what, in every venture in our lives, so we have army of people who support us, who inspire us, we idolize them. They're our support system. So here I'm talking about the venture called life for you. There may be some people who inspired you to stand up again and to fight and encounter the life. So who were those, that army for you?
So when my publisher read my acknowledgements page, which is usually there in the back of every book, he
Yeah.
commented that this is one of the longest acknowledgements he's ever read. And he was like, "Please, this logo ko kaat lo. This is getting too long." But it was very difficult for me because I have a great support system. My families, my brothers, um, all my cousins. I've got great set of friends. So when the
Yeah.
book launch was happening in the Pune Literary Festival 2 years ago, I had just asked one of my cousins to come with me because I didn't want to go all alone. I said, "Chalo, audience mein there should be at least one person who knows me."
Yeah.
And before I knew it, there were 4 cars driving from Bombay to Pune. My
Wow.
parents, my Chacha Chachi, my cousin brothers, their wives, my sister-in-law from Singapore, my best friend from childhood, and everyone was there. And I did not ask anyone to come.
How
So
sweet.
these people are my cheerleading squad, and they've always been there behind me. For
Hmm.
me as well as my son, especially after I got divorced, we really
Hmm.
needed this support system of people around us. And
Yeah.
I've been very fortunate, both in India and in Singapore, to have a fabulous set of friends.
That really shows the beauty of your heart as well, because people always get together and join hands with, and they're compassionate about the people. They love the people who are adorable themselves. So I would say this is you also.
So that's very kind.
So tell me, this was your debut novel. This was the first published work of yours, right? So, this is a question from me to you because I'm very curious to know the answer because I'm in the middle of writing a book. So, what was the journey like to see it on the bookshelves and to get it published for the first time? How was it, and how much time did you take to write the novel?
So it took me almost 2 years to write and 2 years to get published. And
Okay.
at that time, I was writing in a vacuum. Since the
Hmm.
launch of the book, I am now doing my master's in creative writing with La Salle College of Arts in Singapore. So now I kind of realize how many mistakes I made when I was writing, because now I'm learning the craft and the tricks to write and hone the book and write it in a better way. But at that
Yeah.
time, pretty much in a vacuum. There were
Hmm.
lots of people, of course, who were guiding me. But for all the best intentions, every time I told someone that, oh, I've got another rejection, everyone said the same thing. J.K. Rowling was rejected 17 times. And I was like, oh my God, can everyone stop saying that? But ultimately, I did find a really good agent. So, Book Bakers was my literary agent, and they got me published with Vishwakarma. So, I'm very grateful to them because it's not always that you have publishers and agents who can support and kind of put their faith behind a debut writer. So
True.
for writers like you or anyone writing their first novel, I will always say that you just need to persevere and you need to
Yeah.
be patient, because it is a long, long journey, and
Yeah.
you kind of keep on have to keep at it. There are lots
Hmm.
of people on the way who'd probably give you advice on writing, on your characters, on how to publish, who to go with. So my
Hmm.
suggestion is to listen to everyone, but ultimately make your own decision based on all the facts that you have.
Yeah.
But do listen, because there's so many people on a similar journey, and there could be something that they say that might stick and that might really help you.
True. I feel if the work of fiction or the words are coming from the heart, it would definitely reach the hearts and it will be there. But yes, it is a long and you have to have patience. It's a long journey, definitely. So as women, sometimes we worry about the small little things like our hair in place, or we wear white and we can't just help spilling on it. I mean, I always wear white, and I always it is a joke in the family now with my daughters that mom, you're wearing white and you're going to spill on it. So but at the same time, women are such strong human beings that they nurture life inside of them. And you being yourself a working professional, I mean, you're a student of a creative art writing, you are a busy mother of a teenage boy. So how do you balance all these roles I mean, in daily life? It is very difficult to be a woman of so many, facets.
So I think firstly, Singapore does make life easy.
Yeah.
Um, there are limited variables here on things that can go wrong. There are hardly any traffic jams. Everything runs really smoothly, and I'm very
Yeah.
fortunate to have a full-time helper who can look after the house. So it's
Hmm.
much easier to balance both work and home. Having said that, as a working mom, there is the classic working mom guilt. It never goes away. When
Oh,
you're
yes.
you're like, oh my god, I should have been there to take my son for the birthday party, or I should have. When you're somewhere at a play date, you're like, oh, I have to reply to this client's mail. So through my career, I took very conscious decisions of working lesser hours, but that
Yeah.
naturally comes at the expense. So I had to take pay cuts. I had to be passed over for promotions. So sometimes that used to sting. Like, why is the other person who's younger than me and not as talented, not as experienced, getting promoted? But then I
True.
realized that other person is willing to put in 15 hours in a day, and I'm
Hmm.
not. So I've managed to, I mean, I'm a partner right now in a global marketing consultancy, but
Okay.
probably it's taken me a much longer time to reach here. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm here with much lesser money in my bank account compared to many other people who probably started their careers with me.
Yeah.
So it's just the balance. I would say that everyone has to decide what's most important to them. There is no right
Prioritize.
or
Yeah.
wrong answer, and you can't then keep on regretting or complaining. So whenever sometimes I feel that, damn, if I would have actually focused very thoroughly on my career, by now I would have been at a much better position. I would have got a lot more. But it was a
Yeah.
decision you took, so you have to live with it. And I think as long as you're comfortable with these decisions, it can all work out.
True. I truly relate to that guilt that you just mentioned because when I'm working, I'm always getting worried about my girls, and when I'm with them, I'm always I'm thinking, oh my God, I did not write today. So I can relate to that guilt. So curiosity is a gentler form of passion. And if you can't find your passion, continue being curious. These are the words of great and my favorite writer, I mean, Elizabeth Gilbert. So, do you think that reading led you to writing, and there have to be more readers to have more writers? What is your
That's
opinion on
absolutely
it?
right. In fact, that's the first thing my publisher had told me, that today, sadly, the world has more writers than they have readers. So everyone has things to say, but no one really wants to hear them.
True.
So I personally feel reading is extremely important to be a good writer.
Hmm.
And what I had read once, that when you are writing, if your genre is fiction, then try and read other kind of genres. Read
Hmm.
memoirs, read poetry, and you have to
Hmm.
enhance what you read. So growing up in India, like most of us, our English reading was quite standard. You read Enid
True.
Blyton, you read Jane Austen, then later you read your Sidney Sheldons, you read Anne Ryan's. It was very
Not to forget Mills and Boons.
absolutely. It is that kind of Archie comics.
The
After
Archies, yeah.
moving to Singapore, that was 20 years ago when I moved here, I was
Hmm.
super homesick. So that is
Hmm.
the time I started reading Indian writers. So I read Amitav Ghosh and Vikas Swarup and Rohinton Mistry. I didn't read
Hmm.
as much Indian writers when I was in India.
Okay.
And then one day at a local library, the Singapore library system is just amazing. I found this book called Reading Lolita in Tehran. It is a
Okay.
memoir by a woman who was living during the Khomeini regime in Iran, where
Okay.
overnight women were not allowed to work, they had to go under parda, they were not allowed to read English literature. So this
Hmm.
woman started holding a special group at her home for her students who were lovers of fiction, and she was reading Russian literature with them. Uh,
Wow. Very interesting.
yeah, so after that, I started reading a lot of translated books. So some
Hmm.
of my favorite writers are Frederick Backman, who's written A Man Called Ove, and he's super popular now. There's a French
Lovely book.
writer, yeah, I love all his books. There's a French
Yeah.
writer, Antoine Laurent, who's written this fantastic book called The President's Hat. So now I'm
Okay.
reading a lot of books that are written by non-English writers that have been
Hmm.
translated. In fact, one of
Hmm.
my favorite Spanish writers is Carlos Ruiz Zafán, who just passed away last month, and I was devastated. His books are just fantastic, but they are all originally not written in English. They're written in Spanish and translated. So I feel
All
when
right.
you read a variety of books, it helps me to also see different characters, to view a
Hmm.
different world that's not
Culture. Yeah.
necessarily your own. So I personally believe that the world needs more readers,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
hopefully people get more encouraged. And I'm not fussed. So I have not graduated beyond books. I cannot still read on Kindles. So earlier I used to look down on people and like, no, you're not a purist. You can't just read on.
True.
But now
The
I'm
smell
like, you
of
know
the
what?
book, the smell
Yeah.
of the new book, holding it in your hand is something else.
Now
Yeah.
I'm like, you know what? Read on your phone. Read Insta poems if you want. Read anything, but just read.
Yeah, I'll show you this. This has been gifted my by my husband very lovingly. He thought, "Oh my God, being a book lover, I would be so happy." And I told him, "Oh my God, thank you so much. Surprise and a gift and everything. It is so beautifully wrapped and all." But within my hearts of heart, after 20 days of this gift, I told him that when I was ordering the book on the Amazon, and he said, "You've got Kindle now." I said, "No, I really want to smell the paper." So it happened with me. Yeah. So first of all, I would like to congratulate you to keep our culture alive even in a foreign land. I'm talking about your story, Color, which is a part of the anthology of the best Asian short stories 2019. So what was that story about? If you could just tell us. Oh,
Here.
that is the book. Okay. All
Yeah.
right. Okay.
This story is called Color, and it
Yeah.
was published in the anthology, as you said. And in fact,
Hmm.
now I am writing it as a base to write other stories, and it's going to be an interconnected short stories book. So the
Okay.
Singapore most people, Indians especially, are familiar with is the standard Orchard Road, Marina Bay Sands, and
Yeah.
Sentosa. The usual stuff. But the Singapore that is found in color and is going to be found in the rest of my short stories is more
Hmm.
about marginal voices in Singapore. So it's not the usual Singapore that people know. And
Yeah.
Singapore is a pristine, technologically advanced first world country. So things like poverty, homelessness, etc., are not visible. It's not as stark as compared
True.
to India or even cities
The
like
other
New York.
countries. Yeah.
You walk
Yeah.
on the subways of New York, you walk in London, and you can
Hmm.
see the difference between the haves and the have-nots. That is
That's
not
true.
the case in Singapore. But that does
Yeah.
not mean that there is this divide of color and class is not there. It
Hmm.
exists in very different ways. It exists
Yeah.
between the locals and the expatriates. It exists on people who drive BMWs versus people who take the MRT and the train. So I'm
True.
trying to show this kind of divide. So the story that's published is called Color, and it is written from the point of view of an old Tamil security guard. And he
Yeah.
is wondering about his relevance in modern Singapore. So if you like, I can read a short excerpt from
Please.
there.
Please. Yes. Yes. Please.
So there's a term mentioned here called angmo. Angmo basically translates into red hair, but it's a
Hmm.
term that is used for any white man in Singapore. So if you're
Yeah.
British, you're American, etc., you're called angmos.
Yeah.
Her slender legs, all pointy black shoes and glistening silver heels, come out of the cab first. She looks like a younger and fitter Zoe Tay. Her hair flies in the morning breeze as she smooths her short skirt and walks to Paul Boulangerie. From there, she will return, balancing a tray of 2 Angmo coffees. Some days she gives me a beaming smile. Some days she doesn't even notice me. I see everybody. Hardly anyone sees me. I belong to Singapore, but Singapore no longer belongs to me. Singapore used to be like a young bride gradually settling into her husband's home. But now she's become a self assured woman who's found her place in the world. I stand at the entrance of Ocean Financial Center in my freshly ironed uniform, not a crease out of place. I stand tall, even though the years weigh me down. My shoes, weathered by time and monsoon, don't bite my ankles anymore. I still polish them diligently every morning. The same routine every day for the last 35 years. The body is no longer the same. There are gray hairs where there used to be jet black ones. The color of my hair is now akin to dusty pages of a forgotten book. The eyes that look back to me in the mirror droop more each day, gravity working extra hard on them. But the uniform stays sharp, with starch collared shirt and crisp trousers. Parvati used to iron my uniform every morning. She woke up before me and prepared my favorite idlis for breakfast. Her loosely tied braid with fresh flower on the nape of her neck, her sari hitched above her ankles, that dainty silver anklet resting on her feet. She looked more radiant than the morning sun. By the time I woke up, she would have showered, dressed, made breakfast, and kept my uniform ready. I always wondered if Parvati had access to a magical hour which stretched at her command. How else could she accomplish so much in such little time? Adjusting my navy blue tie, Parvati used to say, "It's not what others see, Ramesh, it's what you see in the mirror." I used to roll my eyes, not unlike a teenager. "Parvati, my darling, I am security guard, not an army general. More
Hmm.
important than army generals you are, at least for me. And you will not be security guard for long. Bigger things are waiting for you." What would I not give today for one more chance to kiss her forehead and thank her instead of that hasty wave of the hand? Today, Zoe Tay seems preoccupied. Her eyes scan the lobby, darting over the newly added sculptures, finally resting on the elevators. But her eyes don't register me. She's looking for him. Precisely 10 minutes later, he comes up from the elevator, having parked his BMW 7 Series in the basement car park. She saunters towards him in the way that he would have a chance to appreciate her slim figure. In his Brook Brothers suit with yet another new pocket square and silver and back cufflinks, he looks every bit like the Robert Redford from his heyday, tall with a golden crop of hair, and always that confident smile, like he ruled the world, or at least this building. He nods without looking at me. I bow my head slightly. "Good morning, sir." I have tried to greet him without bowing my head, but it's a reflex. When I first started working here in the 80s, this place was called Ocean Building, and I could see the simmering sea from where I stand. In those days, anyone who came up from the basement was an Angmo. The custom was to wish them a cheery good morning with a low bow of the head. Your head must always be lower than the sahib's and never make direct eye contact. That was the first advice given to me by my supervisor Gagan Singh. At 6 feet 2 inches, he still managed the perfect low bow. With years of bending practice, now it's almost become second nature. But these days, one has to bow to the Indian sahibs also. They too have executive parking spaces in cars like Mercedes Benz. Their skin is more whitish and less wheatish than mine. It's all in the color, wise old Gagan Singh. The only color I have is in my drawings. On paper, the sky I draw is bluer, the sun shines brighter, and I don't have to wear a uniform. Singapore appears in its old glory with the European architecture. The houses are black and white, and the orchids are a variety of colors: iridescent blues, stark purples, and dazzling reds. Had it not been for Gagan Singh, I would have left my job years ago. He taught me the dignity of work. I'm a good security guard, alert, discreet, observant. Parvati wanted me to go back to school. Whoever heard of old grown man going to school? And education is not for men like me. We are called working class for a reason. My appa used to work as the head guard at the Raffles Hotel. As a little boy, I once stole the shiny gold button from his uniform. I wanted to copy the emblem in my art book. The trashing I received from my father when my father found out. My legs still retain the memory of the pain. My heart has tried to forget. But the echo of Appa's bellowing voice and the sound of the ripping paper still haunt me. My drawing of a happy family from school had been tattered. The shreds lay on the grubby floor, taunting me for my foolish dreams. So this is just the
Beautiful.
story.
It is it is so nostalgic for me to listen to a story, because when we used to go, my husband used to love the Indian food after 7 8 days, and we used to go to Little India, and there was a shop of gajras where these
Yes.
Tamilian ladies used to be, and it was so nostalgic listening to all this. Thank you so much. It is so beautifully expressed. You actually paint a picture in front of you. So it leads to another question, that is, that do you think that fiction gives us second chances which life denies us sometimes? I mean, as from the point of view of a writer and a reader both.
So I think life gives us second, third, fourth, fifth chances. As we
Yeah.
live on, it's our choice. And I think Dr. Janki ji was here last month on the CLS panel, and she spoke about her book as well as the Vedanta philosophy. And one
Ji.
of the key tenets of Vedanta is that you live by choice and not by chance. And I
Yeah.
firmly believe that. So it is totally up to us on what choices we make and what we want to do with it. So
True.
yeah, you can have as many choices. I mean, the future is literally in your hands, and you
Yeah.
can write it any way you want.
Yes. So when you were writing the character, you were sketching the character of Sama. So did you go back and do things differently in a particular situation when you were in a particular date, or you wanted to react in a different manner with a particular person, and when you were writing that character, did you do it differently?
A lot of things are similar, but sometimes I had to make things a little more interesting. So some of the
Yeah.
things that happened didn't happen exactly that way, because if the date would have ended with just a simple goodbye or something, it's not interesting or exciting enough for fiction. So I
True.
had to embellish, and I had to write a little bit more. But
Hmm.
the reactions that Sama had are quite similar to what I would have or I had at that time.
Yeah. So, since your book is based in the modern day, dating apps and, finding love in these times of swipe left and swipe right. So, I would like to know, you've mentioned three C's in your book. So, for our young audience, we want to know what are those three C's in a relationship?
So I call it the Holy Trinity of relationships. So the first C is chemistry,
Hmm.
conversation, and comfort level. And chemistry, of
True.
course, is something that you can't describe in words. It's something you feel. There
Yes,
is a
it
spark, a
happens. Yeah.
connection between people.
Hmm.
Conversation, I think, is very critical. You should be able to talk to your partner about everything from your dreams to your fantasies to the fact that he needs to do the dishes. You have to
Yeah.
be able to have that conversation. It cannot
Yeah.
just be about the good and the fun stuff. It has to be about the mundane as well as the interesting. So
Hmm.
that is extremely important. And when it comes to comfort, if you can have a partnership or a relationship where there is no space for pretenses. So if you're not in a good mood because of something that happened in office, and you don't have to pretend,
Hmm.
you can sulk for a while, or and you are given the space to do that. And that's what I
Hmm.
mean by comfort. So if you have these three, then you probably have a recipe of a flawless relationship in your hands. And
Yeah.
for the young people, I would say that yes, Tinder, Bumble, Cupid, and I've been on all of these. And
Okay.
it has its advantages in terms of shortlisting, But
Yeah.
ultimately, there is no substitute to what the kids call IRL. You have to, instead of texting, just talk. Instead of constant chatting, just meet up someone for coffee. And
Hmm.
I also find this a very efficient way because it's so much easier to eliminate. You meet someone for coffee, you know there and then if the chemistry is there or not. And if it's not
Yeah.
there, then move on. With this
Yeah.
incessant chatting and typing, I don't know how far can you go and how much can you really know the person.
Yeah, I don't even know the terms that they use these days. I mean, ghosting and, stalking, and I don't know what all do they do, the young generation. So, um, I was talking to someone who saw his book for the first time in his hands with this, hardcover and the smell of the pages, and he thought that he was looking at his baby for the first time. It was so much love that transpired. So, how was it for you when you saw your book first time in your hand and when you saw it in a bookstore or a bookshelf? How was it?
I mean, it was, of course, completely exhilarating. And I think the
Yeah.
analogy of baby is very true. And
Yeah.
my book can be found in bookstores in Singapore as well as India. So it feels really nice. But I was
Yeah.
more touched with my family's reactions. So
Hmm.
within the first week of launch, one of my friends went to Crosswords and she insisted to the salesperson there that he has to keep the book under the bestsellers. And he's
Okay.
like, "Madam, हम ऐसे नहीं कर सकते हैं." So she said, "नहीं करना पड़ेगा, तुमको तो करना." And she made him do it. And of course, a few
Oh.
months later, Crosswords themselves put it there. And in fact, I was doing a book signing and I was on a panel. But it
Hmm.
was really sweet that in the first week when no one knew who I was,
Yeah.
and my sister-in-law took the book again in one of the crosswords or somewhere, and she just put it in a very prominent section, and she clicked a picture and she sent me. And I'm like, wow, my book is there. She's like, no, not really. It wasn't there, but I put it there. So now it's
How
there.
sweet. How
And
sweet is that?
my dad called me once, and he said that he was at the bookstore and he made someone buy my book. He basically told this man that my daughter has written this. It's very good, and you have to buy it. And that person said, you have to buy it.
Oh
My
God, I'm sure he must not have regretted later on. He would have loved
I
reading
hope
it.
not. So more than my
So,
reaction, I'm just overwhelmed when other people see the book and they send me pictures and they're so excited for me, and that's really nice.
that's beautiful, yes. So, at the moments like these, we feel gratitude for the people we have in our lives who feel so deeply connected to us. And I would really like it to be in the middle of Alicia Fack's books or Elizabeth Gilbert's book. So, what is it for you like? I mean, where do you want to see your book to be lying in the middle of which two writers?
I think Alicia Farr could be a great one. I love her books. They're
Yeah,
just so beautiful. And I guess from the other American writers, maybe Celeste Ng, who's written Little Fires Everywhere, which is now a show on Amazon Prime as well.
yeah,
So I like writers who come from different cultures and who are trying to write about their experiences. So that would be quite interesting. But
yes,
ultimately, the best place to see a book is in someone's hands, and
exactly.
that there's no other because in a bookstore it's just there. No one has yet picked it up. But when
True.
you see it in someone's hand and someone is reading it, then you know that okay, it's live. Like it's not an inanimate thing anymore. It's
Very
alive
true.
in someone's hands.
Very true. So, I really don't want to wind this session up because I'm really having fun. And, I think that we have hit the first two C's of the relationship, that is chemistry, the vibe, and the conversation. So,
Absolutely.
we started this chat with a poem by myself, and I would really like you to read any of your poems to end this beautiful conversation here.
Thank you. Okay, so
Yeah.
I'm going to read this poem called "The Veil."
Okay.
The veil. It covers the face for some, allowing mere
Hmm.
glimpses of the ocean blue. It
Hmm.
covers like a mask for some. A sea of blackness is all what others say. It covers the dazzling smile for some, hiding the joy beneath the white lace. The veil is used to hide, the veil is used to escape, the veil is used to enhance. The veil is considered regressive if it's Indian, a threat if it's a hijab. The veil is adored if it's Meghan Markle's. It's a tiny piece of cloth bearing the burden of history, bearing the wrath of religion, bearing the ridicule of feminism. It's just a tiny piece of cloth. Let it be used to cover or hide. Let it signify beauty or pride. Let each woman decide what the veil means to her.
So beautiful. I just love it. It's so beautiful. I think we started talking about women and mother, and we're ending this talk on women and mother. So we are quite feminist. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. So I wish you, you come across as a person who would only ask for love, books, more books, coffee, and
Coffee.
maybe sometimes a merlot would also not hurt.
Absolutely.
So I wish you all the love in your life, and I wish that you write your second book, and we get to read it, and you again come on CLS and we again discuss the books. Thank you
Thank you
so
very much,
much.
Nisha. It was really
Thank you.
lovely.
Yeah, thank you so much for accepting our invite today, and see you very, very soon. Thank you.
Bye. Have a nice
Bye.
evening.